Welcome to the Infinite Wealth Podcast. I'm Cameron Christiansen, along with our co-host Anthony Faso. And today there is no competition. There is only collaboration. Guys, we've got a huge announcement for you. We've been working on this for a really long time, but we've got two titans in the space of infinite banking coming together. Guys, we have partnered with Wealth Without Wall Street, and today's episode is all about why that has happened. Anthony, what you got to say?
In addition to that, we're going to talk about what does it mean for our listeners and our current clients. And we go into detail of some of those additional resources, but I'll highlight them here for you. Our existing clients are going to be able to get in a community of over 10,000 investors practicing infinite banking. The ability to talk to an IBC coach live once a week, and also learn how to become a better investor through our passive income lab. And in this podcast, we go into much more detail about all of those.
Absolutely. You guys are out there listening and you're thinking, hey, this might be for me. The best thing that you can do now is jump on a call. Go to infinitewealthconsultants.com/free call. We'll talk about what that looks like for you specifically. But guys, today what we did is we invited our colleague and business partner, Russ Morgan, the idea guy and founder and partner at Wealth Without Wall Street, onto our episode. Hope you guys enjoy it. If you're an investor or want to be an investor and you're looking to create passive income that exceeds your monthly expenses, then this is the podcast for you. Here on the Infinite Wealth Podcast, we combine the philosophies of Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad along with Nelson Nash's infinite banking concept. Welcome to the Infinite Wealth Podcast. I'm Cameron Christiansen along with our co-host Anthony Faso. Today we've got a special guest, my friend and colleague and Anthony's mentor, Russ Morgan. Welcome to the show, man.
Man, I'm so glad that you said mentor. I would have said that if you didn't.
Russ, I think
everybody has a mentor. I have one, and then we all know that Cameron has one as well.
Russ, we're diving into this, man. I think most of our listeners has probably come across you in Wealth Without Wall Street in the past, but man, if you can share a little bit about your journey of how you escaped the Wall Street mindset, you and Joey, which led you to create and start Wealth Without Wall Street.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, by the way, for having me on. It's a lot of fun to always be with you. And we've known each other for 15 years, and I'm looking forward to the next 15. So probably have not heard of me, and that's okay. My journey is not important other than unless it connects to where you are. So was working, making a decent amount of money, serving a lot of people. I felt like serving them. But what happened is I didn't know personally how to become financially free. Like I just assumed that I had to have, 8 figures in some account. And when I got to that point, then I could kind of start to spend it off. Now, unlike you, maybe I was actually a certified financial planner. So my job was to actually professionally know how to do all of these things. And it wasn't until 2008 when everything went upside down and all the models, everything that I'd been trained on turned out not to work as planned. And that's okay. Things go bad, right? It's how you adjust to those things. But here's where the rub happened for me, guys. And I know I've shared this with you personally, is that I was sitting in an investment firm, a firm that had been around for 30, 40 years, and people who'd been in the business 20, 25 years that I looked to as mentors. And when I went to them and I said, hey, the market is obviously going against what we thought it would do. What do we do now? And the response that I got from them was terrifying because it was, I don't know. And I thought, wow, if these guys, I knew I'd only been in business like 4.5, 5 years at this time. I knew that I didn't have it all figured out. I had all these credentials, right? People looking to me, giving me their money probably thought I did, but I knew internally I still had a lot to learn. But it was when people that I looked to as mentors, they said they didn't know. They didn't know why it went down. They didn't know what was going to keep it from happening again. I said, I've got to figure out something better. It led me on this path to figuring out how to build wealth without Wall Street. I wouldn't have said those terms then, but I just knew that Wall Street had let me down and I needed a better path.
Well said, Russ. Thank you. It's very similar. A lot of people have stories where they're following Wall Street, because that's what we're told to do. And then they just find out that that really is just not really helping them achieve financial freedom. Russ, in regards to this merger, what was it that you wanted to work with Infinite Wealth?
Well, okay, well, I didn't know if we're letting the cat out of the bag now. Does everybody know that we've connected together?
Well, we sent out an email, and I think like 10% of the people opened it up. But
Okay. Well, cool. Well, I'm excited about this. This is amazing. So if this is first time you've heard about it, this is really fun for us. So our businesses have kind of mirrored each other for the last, I don't know, 10 years or so. And we've done some stuff together on the side, and I'm like super excited that now, Wealth Without Wall Street and Infinite Wealth can be one as much as joining forces can be. There's a lot of like just gifts and talents that you have that we want to keep to utilize and support you in some of the things that we have. So for us, it's important, right, to work with people who are trying to serve people the right way. And I know that you and what you guys have been doing, I've been watching you, modeling some of the things that you're doing is like you have a passion to help people who want to become financially free. And you've been teaching this concept of infinite banking at probably one of the highest levels in our industry. And so for us, it's like, having more people that are doing that, us maybe bringing in a little more of the passive income like strategy behind the scenes, because that's what we've been really focused on for the last 5 to 8 years is teaching people how to become better investors, helping them actually level up in that area. So I think it's just a perfect marriage between the two of us. But I would turn that question around to you. Like, what made this interested to you? Like, why would you want to join forces with Wealth Wall Wall Street?
I would say that, as we've been growing through the years, to really grow and keep the level of quality, you have to learn new skills. And we were kind of at this fork in the road. If we need to learn these new skills, how can we continue to provide the same quality of service that's important to us to maintain to our clients? And we thought that'd be very difficult to be able to grow and manage the levels of service. And what you guys have built, some of our weaknesses are your strengths. So we figured that this would allow us to continue to do to what we love, right?
Yeah.
Which is talking about IBC, working with clients, and making fun of Cameron. Like those are my joys of life. And this merger is gonna
Mm.
gonna allow us to for me to amplify all three of those, Cam. All three. I was gonna be able to put my energy into that.
Well, I want to throw
No,
this in here because I know as you're listening, like, what does this have to do with you? I think it's everything, right? Because anytime you're running a business, if you've been doing it solo, there's a level of just feeling like you're on an island. So I think maybe this conversation is going to resonate. But for you, Cameron, like, why do you think now is the best time for us to do it?
great question, Russ. You kind of addressed it in your response a minute ago when you told your backstory. I think the question that you had asked is, what do we do now when you realize that the Wall Street mindset was not working? I think that right now we're in a moment where people are starting to wake up and they're asking a similar question. But most of the time, what I hear is, this really the best that I can do? Is the question that people are asking themselves. And we tell them all the time that no, it's not. Right. If you listen to our podcast, your podcast, we're giving them an alternative. And so when someone learns to build wealth outside of Wall Street, they get access to something that Wall Street does not offer, which is really three things. One is going to be control, two is going to be cash flow, and then three is the confidence that they get when they're able to control their income. That's why infinite banking, short-term rentals, land flipping, other private investments are now becoming the norm for people who want financial freedom, not just a big 401k balance.
Yeah, no, that's so good. I love that.
Well, and again, I want to reiterate with our clients, our current clients, you're still going to be working with Cam and I. Like the service is still going to be there, but there's going to be additional resources available to that. So why don't we talk about a few? I know that there's many, but one that I'm excited about, Russ, is that now we have this community of over 10,000 investors practicing IBC. Can you tell us a little bit of the benefit and the why on that?
Yeah, totally. Well, our mentor Nelson Nash, he talked about that we needed to be a part of some sort of group of people who were investing like-minded that were helping support us. As believers, we know we need to be in community. And what we've all found, if we're one of these, weird third eye guys that are doing this thing called infinite banking, there was not a lot of people out there doing it. And then if you're even weirder, where you're saying, I'm not investing in the stock market, I'm not going to go down that path of hoping that I have enough money at 65 or 70 or whatever it is. I'm going to build this thing called passive income and I'm going to learn how to take control of my own money. There's even fewer people doing that. And I just know that, when we are, surrounded around people that are doing similar things that we're going to do, either we will level up or we'll stay in the same place. And, there's a saying that you can't change the people around you, but you can change the people who are around you, right? And so, I'm not telling you get rid of your friends. What I'm saying is that if your friends in your immediate circle that you spend most of your time with are not wanting to get more time back, they're not trying to build passive income that exceeds their monthly expenses. They don't understand this whole concept of control. Then get an additional friend group. And that's kind of what this community was designed for, is for people who wanted to be around other people, who wanted to be inspired to know that there was a higher height than maybe what they had experienced. I mean, I came out of a family where my mom was a school teacher, my dad was a general contractor. Like there was no money. The only reason I got into the financial services business, I was like, I want money, so I got to learn it. I'm just going to be forced to do it every single day. Like to me, that was just the simplest thing for my little brain to figure out. I was like, I'm going to force myself to understand money. But a lot of people who may be similar to me, maybe have become successful in building a business and growing, that, but don't know how to turn that active income into passive income. That's what that community is about. And I am so excited to just bring more like-minded people in it because I just know everybody levels up.
Russ, you mentioned about kind of forcing yourself to learn about changing active income to passive income. Anthony and I actually recorded a webinar that goes into detail on that. And if you guys are out there listening right now, check out the show notes. You guys can go find this at infinitewealthconsultants.com/PIOS, right? PIOS is our passive income operating system that provides the framework for you guys to create passive income. So, Russ, I'm going to throw it back to you. Is you'd mentioned one of the resources is that community. I also know that there's an office hours, right, where clients are able to come in there and speak with a team of IBC coaches. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, this is super cool, and I'm excited that your existing clients are going to participate in this. So every single week, we realized that people would have questions. And a lot of times, the complaint we've heard in our industry when people would come to us and say, I set up infinite banking, but really, when I did it, I felt like I just bought a life insurance policy and the person moved to the next person and never got to see him again. And so we wanted to try to solve that. We wanted to give people a place to ask questions, not only in written format, which the community gives, but for those who are actually our clients, they're doing infinite banking, to come live every single week and ask us, whatever the issue that they're dealing with. But then also just to be a fly on the wall, right? Maybe you don't have a question, you don't even know what questions to ask yet. And so you get in a room of people asking questions, you go, oh, right. Like, you're in the right room when, the aspirations that you have are the daily accomplishments of those who are around you. And that's what that group's about. It's like every single week we all get to level up. There's questions, we get smarter, we're sharp, iron sharpening iron. That's what that weekly office hours is for.
Another great resource that I'm excited that our clients can get to participate, because Cameron and I just went through that, is the Passive Income Lab.
Mm.
Can you explain a little bit about that one, Russ?
Well, I'm gonna kick this back to you. I'll give a couple of feedback, but like you guys have gone all the way through it. I think your experience is going to be really helpful to those listening because you know exactly what it does. I'll tell you why we create it, and I'm going to let you talk about maybe more of the specifics in there.
Mhm.
So Robert Kiyosaki, many of you know him from his books. Rich Dad Poor Dad is probably the most famous book. He has a saying that says, "There's no good or bad investments. They're just good or bad investors." And I personally was a terrible investor. I personally am still learning how to become a good investor too, right? So I have not arrived at that point. But what I know is that there is a system, there's a process, and you have to learn it. You have to sharpen it. Otherwise, you're going to always be subjected to someone else's results. And so for us, we wanted to figure out how do we actually help people go from that next level of not knowing what to invest in, not knowing, does it match up with who I am as an investor, not having any sort of framework, due diligence checklist, all of these things. And at the end, actually build passive income. So we designed this passive income lab as a 12-week program to where every single person who qualifies and is accepted into the program will go in with a small group, and at the end come out with at least $500 a month of passive income, or we'll guarantee we'll keep working with you until you do. So for you, I'd love to hear your experiences, just a couple of like major takeaways that you had as a going through that as a participant, because you weren't leading it, you were going through to understand it for yourself, to understand whether or not this would be a good fit for your clients.
I'll jump in there. Yeah, is we are almost through, and what I would say, looking back, the most amount of effort that was required in this passive income lab was actually in the first couple weeks. And what you're doing in the first couple weeks is you're creating your vision as to why you're even doing this. And man, that was powerful. It was powerful to go through. And man, if you ever want to get grounded as to kind of why you're doing this, why we go to work, why we're trying to build passive income, man, that's a great exercise to do. And so I would not have done that on my own if I didn't have somebody else leading me through on how to do that. So for me, that was powerful. The second part of it that I would highlight was probably being able to build a buy box and kind of identify opportunities that fit my investor DNA. Uh, but not only be able to do that, but to do it quickly and so efficiently. And so those are my two big takeaways. Faso, what about you?
Well, I would, building that buy box was really important to know, to be able to focus what it is that you should be investing in. One of the interesting things I learned was so many ways to earn passive income. I would tell you before, I thought, it's long-term rentals and multifamily apartment complexes like the syndications. That's really kind of all I thought. But as the deeper I got through, there's a tremendous amount of different ways to create that passive income. But having that buy box allowed me to focus on the ones that I really needed, that was really going to affect my goals, right? On what I was trying to do. Because again, I'm trying to build my passive income to be more than the monthly expenses, but this allowed me to become a better investor. And one additional thing is that accountability is going through there. It's like, all right, you had homework, you need to evaluate a few deals and then present what you found in the meeting. So it wasn't something that I could just, well, I just push off. Because I would tell you, for me, I enjoy helping my clients and focus on working. Kind of my stuff is kind of put on the side, but this allowed me to kind of put, the important things to me of building that passive income in front of me. And it forced me to execute on a couple investments.
So, Cam, I want to ask you this question. As it going through there, were there any other tools that you got other than like this investor buy box or stuff like that? What were some of the tools that maybe made this process simpler? That, the person listening is like, wait a second, maybe I don't have something like that, or I need something like that. What would you say to that?
What I would say to that, Russ, is that for me, going through the passive income lab, it actually helped organize the entirety of kind of what we're trying to accomplish. Right. What I think a lot of people, when they hear about passive income, if everybody wants passive income, but they always jump over, right, the first step or two. And so if you guys are out there and you're listening, hey, I want passive income, right? One of the reasons that we put you guys to have a conversation with us is because passive income is the result of a whole bunch of effort on the front end, and I think people overlook that. And so there's steps that you got to go through to create passive income. What I would tell you, the first one is you need to start to take a look at your cash flow, right? You got to make sure that you're putting money in places in which you can access that. The second place is you got to have it into a good account that will allow you to leverage it and put those money to action. And then the third step, where I think this passive income lab comes in, is you got to become a better investor, right? You've got to understand how to move forward, what opportunities are out there that line up with what you're doing. And so, Russ, I don't know if that answers your question, but
That's good.
as I was thinking about the passive income lab, for me, it really helped organize kind of the process as a whole, because that's the last step. But everybody wants to jump to that last step. And so, again, when you guys are hearing us talk or we're pushing you to a webinar, it's because we need to do things in order, and that's why we've got this organized here for you.
Well, I totally think people, if they haven't already watched that webinar you talked about a second ago, the passive income operating system, what is
Hmm.
it? infinitewealthconsultants.com slash PIOS. You need to do that. Like that is definitely the game changer. That's what's going to condense time for you. That's what is done for us. Like, you know, I hope it's okay for me to share this, but my business partner, Joey, every single month we share our passive income report, and we've averaged over $50,000 a month in passive income as a result of what you learn on that webinar. And that's what we use to build the passive income lab, right? Like to take these ideas, not just because they work for us and be, the holder of all secrets, but to give it away. Anthony, what was one of the results that you had? Like, were you able to build any passive income as a result of going through that 12-week program?
Yeah, I would say, one additional piece that we didn't add is it teaches you how to do your due diligence. And really, if you doing some of these investments, there's these very long, detailed contracts with all this information. But what was built is a way to leverage the power of AI, and you can just upload that contract into it, and not only will it compare it to your buy box, but it'll also give you some questions to ask, and to ask any follow-up questions. And one case in point is I misinterpreted what the collateral was on this investment, and I was about to sign. I already had the money, everything set, but I finally got that final contract. I uploaded that into the buy boxes, and it gave me a warning that the collateral was not clear. So that allowed me to make a decision. Do I need to move forward with it, or do I need to ask more questions? And I actually did quite a few investments in there, and one of them is a fund we actually have. Well, we actually have a debt fund where it is paying me monthly passive income every single month. So it was very easy to start, and I think I did four different types of investments. And I tell you one thing I also learned is not to deploy all my money at once, because you get so excited. There's all these opportunities, right? And one thing they kept saying in the course is that the deal of the lifetime happens twice a week,
Mm,
right? And with that mentality, says, okay, maybe this all sounds great, but I'm going to hold a little bit, and just to maybe wait and see the next deal of the lifetime.
I love that.
Russ, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Now that we've kind of merged, thinking big picture wise, what would you say we're trying to accomplish together? Where do you see these two firms heading in the future?
To me, the biggest goal that we've had forever is that we want to help people who want to become financially free get there faster. And our big, hairy, audacious goal is to help 1 million people do that. And like the only way that we can do that is having amazing people like yourselves. And so we're looking to grow. We're looking to find more people who are in our industry doing exactly what we're doing, setting up IBC, because we know the number one obstacle to becoming financially free is lack of access to cash. So much money has been trapped. You're going to learn about that if you go and watch that webinar. I encourage you to do that. But having more people that know how to unlock cash, and then combining that with some knowledge about actually what to do with that cash. How do we become better investors? How do we get that money growing and creating passive income streams? Then we hit that million mark. That's our goal. Like, so if you're listening to this, as maybe you're someone who's saying, hey, I want to become financially free, you need to go watch that webinar. If you're someone who has been in the infinite banking industry, and maybe you're like, hey, I know I'm serving people, but I don't feel like I'm helping them with the next step. You need to reach out to us, reach out to Cameron and Anthony, and ask them their experience. We want greater people because we want to help more people. Like there's, Wall Street has minions everywhere, right? And I'm not calling that say that's bad, but they have a lot of people out there that we would refer to as money babysitters that are great at like holding onto your money and making fees off of it. Our goal is to help more and more people just like you learn how to fish and not be subjected to the whims of the market, not have a hope-based strategy, and definitely not have to wait until you're 65 or 70 or whatever that is to truly start enjoying life. Because right now, I got a 12-year-old son sitting next to me. He's never going to be 12 again, right? The things he wants to do today, he's never going to want to do when he's 32 or 42. And if you don't have the ability to control your day, you don't have the ability to make the decisions because you have more passive income than monthly expenses, you're going to look back on those moments that you missed in this nostalgic way and say, man, what if? What if I would have taken the time to invest in myself? What if I would have taken the time to meet with Cameron, Anthony, and the team and learn how to start building this system? As you said, it's hard, but choose your hard, right? Life's hard, work's hard. Choose your hard. Are you going to be working during those hours, the 5 to 9, what we say? Because a lot of people working 9 to 5, a lot of people working 5 to 9, right? But what are you going to be doing? Are you investing in yourself? Is it worth it? And if so, I want to help you, and I know you guys want to help them become financially free so that they get more of what they want, not less.
Love it, Russ. Love it, Russ. So, so Cam, what are some things our listeners can do now?
Yeah. If you guys are not a client and you feel like now is the time to take action, you guys can go to Infinite Wealth Consultants /free call, and you guys can jump on a call with either Anthony or myself, and we'll dive into it. Again, if you guys want more information, go to infinitewealthconsultants.com /Pios, and that is going to be the best next step for you to go in there and see the framework on how you guys can create passive income.
And if you're a current client, check your inbox, because this week there will be an email to give you access to the inner circle of the community that will allow you to get in the community of 10,000 people, but also access to the office hours. And again, one thing we always say, you got to take action. If you're on that, what you want to achieve that goal, if you want to be able to spend that time with your family or with your kids or your grandkids, it's going to take a little action. So the first action right here, we've laid up a couple steps, but we are here to help you achieve that passive income to be more than your monthly expenses.
Well said. Russ, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys, for having me.
Go make it a fantastic day.
Take care.
If you like this video, I know you're like this one. And if you want to learn how investors use infinite banking to increase their returns and lower their taxes, check this out. And if you have some questions and want to see if infinite banking is for you, hop on a discovery call with us. Link for that will be in the description.